Hi, Bill Henshaw here again, another one of my YouTube current events videos. And this is a very interesting one, especially for those of you that have been following my videos. And you know that the crown jewel of the unopposed arguments I make is there are no states. Evidently, according to recent news reports, Joe Biden has been informed that if he wins the quote unquote election, that he would have unilateral power to add justices to the Supreme Court in retaliation for the recent appointment of Amy Coney Barrett as now a justice. Now, if that's true, there's only one way it's possible, and you're not going to hear this in any of the news, CNN, all those BS people. They won't even understand it. But that is if he's acting as commander in chief of the armed forces pursuant to an executive order to do that. That's never been attempted as far as I'm aware, and I've done a lot of research on it. Of course, we had that infamous court packing plan of FDR back in the New Deal era, and a lot of the members of the Democratic Party left him on that issue. They couldn't stomach it either. But at least it would have required an act of Congress. Here, if one man can do it, and now you're down 6-3, so he appoints four more, they're going to be all liberals, and now we're back to 7-6 liberal majority, quote unquote, at least the way these two sides are currently defined today. One man has that power. Can't be right. And that means that even in the Supreme Court's original jurisdiction, it would not be a judicial court established by the Constitution, notwithstanding it clearly says that in Article 3, Section 1. You know, if one man can do this, then these are legislative tribunals, and that explains a lot. But they would still have to answer the question of how did the Supreme Court go from the only judicial court we have to a legislative tribunal on what authority? And that in turn has to be the 14th Amendment. And, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, and get my document packets. And you're going to find out that I have a brief that destroys the 14th Amendment based on violations of all 6 articles of the Constitution, which I can recite a cappella in front of a judge, jury, or the 9 old farts, as the case may be. So here's the issue. If they don't rule on this one, and they're going to get it in my paper, I'm going to say either you rule on this issue or you tell the American people the truth. We have no constitution. That's what I've been saying for quite a while now. This is as clear and as unambiguous an issue as you can get on this. If one person can in effect destroy the Supreme Court, wow. Even Hamilton probably couldn't have envisioned anything like this. But it's that bad. And that explains why we've not been able to get to judicial courts. If the U.S. Supreme Court isn't one, there are none left. Again, they'll be getting some petitions from me asking them to order, if necessary, the presiding judge of a federal district court or a county clerk to file documents. Here in California would be the California District Court, not a federal court, one independently set up in the Constitution of 1849, a constitutional common law court recognized contemporaneously by the California Supreme Court. Cases ex parte nulls, I think, 5 Cal 300. And send me an email. I'll send you a copy of that decision. You can read it for yourself. And we can go from there. But this issue coming as close to the election, quote unquote, as it does, if they really think they can do this, it's so far outside the bounds of original intent, it's just impossible to put a label on it. By the way, just with the holidays upcoming, and I realize with the COVID crap and this, that, and the other, there's still a lot of tight budgets out there. So I am, for the moment, through the holidays, reducing the cost of my materials. If you buy the whole thing, I'm reducing it by a third from $375 to $250. And you can pay that with $150 up front and use PayPal for 3 payments times $35 each for each succeeding month. And you'll get all the documents in an astoundingly low price, around 25 cents a page. And this is how you go into court and stop these bastards. You start raising these issues that they can't answer, but they have the sworn duty to do it now, don't they? They're bound by this Constitution and the laws enacted in pursuance thereof, Article 6, Section 2. Hopefully that's survived a bit more intact than Article 3, Section 1 that sets up the U.S. Supreme Court has apparently survived. But this would explain a lot of things. How come the 9-0 parts, especially on the appellate side, refuse to hear cases, including Coleman v. Thompson, where Coleman's attorney filed a petition, I think 2 days too late. And this is a guy on death row. What the fuck can you do on death row? Refused to hear it. He got executed because of it. That's not anywhere close to the original intent and the accord of the framers of the Constitution, who ordained and established this Constitution to preserve the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. How can you get from that Coleman decision to the original intent? You tell me. I'll be damned if I know. In any event, for those of you that have my documents, you're going to get updated documents, and those of you that order documents will get the same courtesy for a year. You'll get complimentary updates. Here, it's going to be the written motion to dismiss in the trial court and the brief on new states, both of which are going to be amended to highlight this situation with Biden and show that absolutely for sure, as if we needed any more evidence than we already have in my what was an 82-page brief, now 84 pages. There are no states. That undoes the entire system, all of it. And that's the kind of issues we have to raise and get to the finish line here. And I don't know whether I'm going to make it. I've got 8 or 10 good years here with a little luck with family genes and all that. But I'm working my ass off to get it out there to as many people as possible, because the more people that get out there and do it over a wide spectrum, Americans, Asians, Africans, the quicker we get rid of the problem here and we get back to our limited form of government where you have responsible parties on the local level that we can instruct and tell them what the law is, not to mention the fact it's a hell of a lot less expensive and a lot more efficient on the local level. And that all figured into the original intent of the Constitution, governed at the county level, not the state capital for the most part, and certainly not Washington, D.C. So this is a really big deal here. We have an issue that, and Biden probably not going to have a clue. Sacramento, Shamala probably won't have a clue either, but they're going to be told you can do this. So I'm going to try to head them off at the pass, as they used to say in old Western movies, and get a rich of 9-0 parts and get them to issue an order against anybody in the White House attempting to do that, including Trump if he gets reelected here. You just can't do it by executive order. That's not how things are set up to work here. And as bad as that is, my God, you get into Congress, which might be able to enact laws like that. As I've said elsewhere, look at the ratio of relationship. Okay, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 says maximum ratio is 30,000 inhabitants to 1 representative. If that's true, and according to James Madison and Federalist Number 55 it is, then instead of 438 in the House, we would need close to 11,200. You tell me how they have a quorum to do business there when a little bit more than 2% of what should be there can pass laws, quote unquote, and then everybody thinks that that's the law of the land, and the Supreme Court says you have to give them a wide scope of constitutionality of what they enact, but then they haven't seen issues like this either. And if you learn what you're doing and get my materials and teach your kids and your posterity, they're going to be very difficult to deal with too when push comes to shove here. That's the whole point. We have a right to be heard in a judicial court, ideally in front of a common law jury. That's where I'm headed. And it gets better as you'll see, you get my documents and get updates, you'll see where I'm going in some other areas too. So anyway, that said, be sure to like the video, subscribe, tell your friends, get the word out. Send me an email at youwinincourt@gmail.com for information about my materials. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.